Hey patrons, happy Friday. This week we spent a lot of time working on both the Mega Grant and on this NSF final report we have to do to get that chunk of money that's essentially going to pay our salary for the next year so we can work on code spells, which is really exciting. But happy Friday. Today's question and answer day with Steven. So I took some of your questions from the Discord or questions from patrons directly, and we're going to talk to Steven about them. If the game is going to have a single-player campaign, how long is the campaign going to be? And this is a question from Serpofaga. Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess this is a good time to reiterate that there's not just one Code Spells game. So I tend towards, as a game designer, I like to have, if I'm going to make a single-player campaign, I kind of want it to be sort of never-ending, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I want it to be open-ended where I can, add more content to it, or if other people want to add content to it, they can. That's kind of the direction I would go. But we're making tools so that other people can make their own games, and so if somebody else makes a single-player campaign, no reason that can't have a defined beginning and end.
For sure. Okay.
But, what I plan to do is sort of release mine. Think of it like maybe like George R.R. Martin, right? I mean, he releases books; they have beginnings and ends. But the series, as it stands, hasn't ended yet.
Right.
You know, I mean, it did on HBO, but his books.
And it was sad.
It was, but his books don't appear to have an end, and I think that's okay. It's okay for a story to be kind of to go on forever, as long as the pieces of it are stories that start and end. So that's what I'm tending towards.
So this one's from Ghostslayer31. Will spawning be fixed in the new game, or will you still be able to get unfavorable spawns? I think I remember that being an issue maybe in the original Code Spells.
Yeah, in none of my games am I going to let there be unfavorable spawns unless that's a bug, and then I would fix it. But again, there's nothing to stop somebody else from making a procedurally generated world that picks a seed at random, and you might end up in a weird world where you spawn somewhere you don't want to be. So I'm not going to say it's impossible, because Code Spells is not just one thing. But in the Code Spells is that I put work in, I don't like the idea of unfavorable spawns, so that's just me.
Me either. So I have another one from Serpofaga. Will you be able to keybind runes? I thought that was interesting.
Okay, I'm gonna, hopefully I got this right, because I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I'm gonna interpret keybind runes as, are you going to be able to write a script or a spell with runes that affects a key binding in game?
I interpreted it differently, but maybe that's what he meant.
Well, if it's the way I just said, yes, you should be able to affect key bindings with the spells you write.
I thought maybe instead of grabbing runes from a list, like a long list of runes, they could be keybound, so you press A and it pulls, it gives you this rune, and then you can move it around. But maybe that's not what Serpofaga meant. Maybe he probably meant what you're talking about.
Well, if he meant what you're talking about, then that should be easy. I may or may not add that, depending on whether or not it makes things faster for me. But the whole rune interface is all just HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and it's trivial to detect the key binding, and so it should be easy. If you want to make that improvement to your code editing experience, that shouldn't be too hard to do.
Awesome. So I have one from Ghostslayer31. Will enchanting be a thing?
What does that mean? I mean, yes, I think so. Is enchanting just magic?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think enchanting's more like instead of casting a fireball spell, you could enchant a shield to have certain things that it does to protect you beyond what a shield would normally do.
Yeah, for sure. So if you have some shield that is maybe an asset that's loaded in with a mod, that's just an Unreal blueprint, and it could have various attributes on it that spells can affect. So if you want to say that it's in enchanted mode, it could start sparkling and stuff like that if it wanted to. If it knows that it's like you can, I guess there's two ways to do it. You can write these assets such that they know they're going to be enchanted, and such that there's like some API for enchanting them from spells. Or there's probably some lower level way to do it, like if it's a physical object, then you can sort of enchant it by changing its gravity or having it, moving it up and down or whatever, just the way you would do with any sort of physical object. So there may be various objects in the game that can be enchanted in kind of routine ways, and then there can be also objects that are added in by mods that can be enchanted in very specific, targeted ways that maybe make sense with that mod.
Cool. I have a more specific question about enchanting now from Introspector. And maybe you already answered this question, but is it possible to enchant an item or object by adding a rune script to it? For example, adding a script to a rock to make it orbit the player without the player using a telekinesis spell to make it do so.
Is it possible right now? Maybe, but you'd have to dig into the JavaScript API to make it work.
Yeah.
But I guess one tweak I would say is it's not. So there's no notion of attaching a script to an object. Like I know that's like kind of how Unity thinks about it. You attach a C# script to some game object, and it affects that object. And even Unreal does think about it as you have blueprints, and blueprints can have code that execute and they affect that object. But it's better to think about spells as just things that run, code that runs in the environment, and it can, if it only affects one object, it'll look like that object has that script. But really it's just, exactly. But there's nothing to stop a script or spell from affecting two objects, in which case, which one is it attached to? Well, really neither one. It just exists. Magic just exists in the world and has the ability to affect things inside that world.
Oh, I have another one from Ghostslayer31. Is the new code spells going to take place in the modern era? And if not, when is it taking place? I'm assuming he's talking about the Seeker.
Yeah.
Specifically.
That's a secret. No, well, okay, so in theory it takes place in a place far, far away, so it's not clear what time it is. But there may be some connections to our world in the Seeker. So, but I'm not going to spoil it yet.
Interesting. And I have a funny one from Angalore. Which comes first, the milk or the cereal?
Charizard.
That's right! You were supposed to answer that question last week.
Yeah.
Was it Charizard?
I think so. Well,
Charmander.
It was only
the
of the
first.
base. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's Charmander because of Charizard. Okay. I think. Yeah. Also milk.
Wait, milk first?
Oh, is it like which one do you put into the bowl?
Which one do you put in first?
I thought like which one do I prioritize? Like which one do I like better? Is it just says first which milk or cereal first? I guess I've definitely put the cereal in and then put milk. Yeah. Does anyone do it the other way?
It is a thing that some people do.
Maybe like depending on which hemisphere of the earth you live in, you do it the opposite way.
Australia, they do it the opposite way.
Australians.
I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Get some rest, get some sleep, brush your teeth, and we will see you on Monday.